Why do you think I call it our calendar? Dan can't talk really easy.
Everybody in
Affects everybody in the lodge? Is that true? Just everybody in the lodge?
And families
And families? What about Grand Lodge?
Can.
It's everybody. The community and public. You guys got special events in your calendars, right? Big things you guys do around the city and stuff. So it's our calendar, not yours. Once you start your year, it's our calendar. So think about that. It's not just about what you want to do, it's what the lodge wants to do. Right? What is good for masonry? Right? I really did like the Grand Master talking about when you have a team together that doesn't worry about who gets the accolades, who gets, the congratulations. You don't worry about that, then you're going to go far. The same applies to your calendar. It really does. If you're not worried about who gets all the congratulations for having a great year, your calendar will be awesome. Because it'll work. Everybody will want to be involved in your calendar. Because it's not just your calendar. Right? Think about that for yourself too. Your wife has a calendar. Which one's most important? Hers, right? It's not our calendar, it's her calendar, right? All right. Why do we need a calendar?
Well, forget.
Exactly. It forces you to plan and organize. And plan resources for events. If you don't have a calendar and you decide, hey, we want to do a picnic next Saturday, and nobody laid on the picnic shelter or the food, what kind of picnic are you going to have?
Not a very fun one.
It won't be good. Trust me, it won't be good. All right. Keeps everybody from forgetting important events. It helps you have interesting meetings. Well, if I don't put anything on my calendar, what I'm going to do for meetings, what's going to happen to everybody?
Exactly the same.
Bills paid. All right. Any petitions? How many meetings do you guys have like that? Secretary, got any petitions? Any communications? Treasurer's report, what are the bills? All right. Close the meeting. What happens?
Go home.
How many people left in your lodge after the meeting? How many people show up to the lodge meetings?
9.
9.
Not a good.
Very able to fill the seats, right? So what we're really going to do is talk about, we talked about why you need a calendar. We're going to talk to you about how to create a calendar. Then you guys got to come up with some ideas on your own of what you want to put into your calendar, what goes in it. What are the things you have to have on your calendar?
Stated meeting, stated communication.
All those little things, we're going to talk about that in a little bit here. And then we're going to talk about the things that you didn't think about that need to be on the calendar that will come back to haunt you. Hey, how do we create a calendar? What did you guys do last year? How do people like to reinvent the wheel? I mean, it's already round, has lug nuts on it. And I want to change the different pattern of the lug nuts, maybe the size of the tire, I might do that. But, why should I come up with the entire idea by myself again? Grab the calendar from last year. How many senior wardens in here don't have a calendar yet? Yeah, there you go. So it's better to have a place to start from, right? How many people think they're going to have to jump up a chair?
And I have to go from senior ward to
So guess what? Call that last guy and say, where's your calendar at? I want to use it. Don't start from nothing. It's really hard. Start with your stated meetings for each night of the month, right? Or each meeting night for each month. Put those on your calendar. Lay them out. All right? Think about your lodge traditions. In May, what day comes up in May? Anybody?
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day?
My birthday.
February, does your lodge do something special for Valentine's Day?
Sweetheart.
What if your meeting falls on the 14th?
Nobody shows up.
Yeah. So how can you get them to show up? These are the things you're going to look at. What about your lodge traditions, right? You know, Yancey C. Blaylock in District 2, they do a ladies' night every February. That's their thing, right? What do we do at Ashmore? Chili feed in January, we're gonna invite the Grand Master to come and sit in a room full of guys that ate chili for an hour. Makes the meeting really short. And the thing, one you want to look at toward the end there is think about what you want to accomplish. What do you want to build on? How do you want to make your lodge better from last year's calendar? What is it that you really want to accomplish? It gives you a goal to kind of focus your entire calendar. Now you guys are going to get here a little thing on long-range planning. That's what this long-range planning is about later on. This helps you focus what you do across not just this worshipful master, but senior ward, junior ward. And so you get 3 years worth of calendar that focus on a goal to improve your lodge over the years. And the last one down there at the bottom, one that will always get you in trouble. What is mandatory? What day do you have to ballot for officers? Worshipful Master, where do you have to be in June? Anybody know where you have to be in June as a Worshipful Master?
Grand Lodge.
Grand Lodge. What happens if you don't show up? The next Worshipful Master gets mad at you because he has to be there, otherwise you lose your charter. Right? They have to do things. What about IRS reporting? Oh yeah, these are the things that will bite you. Right? When do you have to have an audit?
By regulation, the second stated meeting after your installation.
Okay. Now you get the other fun stuff you get to add on. What's happening in your district? What are the other lodges doing? Start talking to your current master, your key officers, find out what they want to do. Maybe you can kind of make something that can grow every year on each other, right? Meet with other masons, borrow ideas from other lodges. That's what you guys are doing here, right? Get to talk to other guys. What are you guys doing in your lodge that works? All right. The one thing I don't see on here, who's attending all your events? Who attends your events on your schedule, on your calendar? The members of your lodge. If you don't get buy-in from them, guess what? Who's going to show up to your special car and bike show? And you show up with 2 cars that show up because guess what? They really weren't interested. You didn't ask them. You didn't get enough communications out there. You didn't go out and plan to have that out there. Key dates for Grand Lodge, report deadlines. How many people know when a monthly report is due? Now your secretary is supposed to do this automatically. It just comes out of his brain, he knows when it goes on. Guess who's responsible for all reporting? Worshipful Master, the buck stops there, right? Right. Audit dates. Grand Lodge communications in June, district communications. LOAs, what's an LOA? Anybody know what an LOA is?
Lodge Officers Association.
Lodge Officers Association, okay. Yeah, I just did a communications class. We're not supposed to put jargon in there. No, I just wanted to make sure. All right. Official visits. Education. Why is that on? Yes.
Can I ask a question, stepping back a bit?
Yeah.
What is a Lodge Officers Association?
Some districts, they invite all the lodge officers from each lodge to show up at a meeting together as a district to talk about what they're doing.
Okay, down in 19, we call that the Cobb Club. We
Okay.
meet at a local brew pub, Corn Oil and Beer.
Sounds like a good place to be.
Changing names.
Everybody write down that, that's another good idea. Right? Tax filing dates. That's important. Now, should you just write down these dates for just the lodge? If you have a temple corporation, guess what? His worshipful master better know the dates. When are their taxes due? Because it's based on your fiscal you're not the Grand Lodge calendar, or you're deciding, well, I want to have it done by this date. Because IRS won't accept things early sometimes. Definitely don't like it when it's late. Right? Right, stated meetings, special meetings. What special meetings could you put on the calendar?
Degrees.
Degrees.
Ritual practice.
Ritual practice installation, that's the key one right there. May not happen in your normal stated meeting, right? What do you have to have to have an open installation? No.
It's been said.
An opening.
An open installation.
Has to be approved in the prior meeting.
Yeah, you have to have it approved by your lodge member. It can be 10 meetings before, as long as you, hey, I'd like to have an open installation, and the rest of the lodge members say yes. All right, that's the key. So knowing your code, what you can put in there is important. But right now, as you're putting together your schedule, right now, the special meetings that you could put on there, or you have this one, your installation. Maybe you have a presentation night you want to do for somebody special. Those can go on there, you know. But other than that, your degree ones come when?
When necessary.
When necessary, guy shows up. But maybe you need to reserve some days for that, whether you can do that as ritual practice for that day. Or, you know, for us, it's the second and fourth Thursday we lay aside for our lodge, because we meet on the third. So the second and fourth are set aside for ritual practice. We reserve that day with the temple board, so we own the lodge, so we can schedule those. So when we have the first degree come up, that day's open. But if you don't have that on your calendar, can you reserve that day? Are you really ready for it? You know, suddenly it comes up, now you're scrambling around looking at your calendar, when can I plug this in? Or you already have days in your plan.
Ron, something that I don't think we've seen yet, maybe it's coming up, I don't know, is interacting with your temple association for booking the events, because you can write down and have your plan for your year,
Yeah.
and it can be great in your head and on your piece of paper, but if you have a resource you have to go through for booking those dates, getting this done sooner rather than later might have those dates available for when you want them.
That's important. How many people here have more than one lodge that meets in your building? So other than your stated communication days, if you want these other dates, guess what? You might want to have it 6 to 9 months out, scheduled out for you. That way you know you have your day, right? Now, fortunately, that also comes with a price tag, right? So it's also part of planning your resources. Without the calendar, you really can't plan those resources. So, lodge officers meetings. It's not your stated communications, but you want to have a meeting where you can plan out what's going on, where you can review your calendar before your next stated meeting, right? I used to call it getting the 4 horsemen, then I had to include the 5th horseman because the secretary kept getting mad. So I invited my senior and junior wardens, senior and junior deacons, and my secretary to sit in with the meeting. And we talked about what was going to go on at the next lodge meeting. Because guess what? Sensitive items come up. Maybe we can already have assigned who's going to do the degree planning for the next degree. So you can make changes to your calendar. But in order to do that, you need to schedule it. Have the schedule, put the lodge officers meeting on your calendar. And, you know, for us, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, you know, depending on who your officers are. But you want to schedule a day that everybody can attend. I used to do mine Saturday after lodge meeting. We review what happened and plan the next meeting, so we can make changes. But the idea is that if you put it on a schedule and it's on a calendar, you know, if I put 3 Thursdays down from now on your calendar, is it a better chance you're going to show up to it? Or is it it's never on your calendar and I just call you up and say, hey, can you come down to my house tomorrow? All right, so if you schedule it, people will come. Kind of like that, what's that baseball game? You build it, they'll
Field of
come,
dreams.
right? It's the same idea. If you schedule it, people will show up.
6-pack of pizza.
Yeah. Special events, family nights, district events, youth meetings, and events. Now, having these all on your calendar is for your information, so who here wants to step on top of someone else's stated meeting by putting a degree on the same night as Shoreline stated meeting? Right? I don't want to do that because I want the guys from Shoreline to show up at this degree. Right? But if they're not on your calendar, you're not going to think about that when you're sitting in the middle of lodge going, okay, so-and-so approved up, I got to put it on schedule. Write it on your calendar as a reference point, what's happening. Family nights, district events, youth meetings. I know Ashlar Lodge started off with family nights during the summer. On our stated communication night, normally would have been stated, we did a family and activity night, brothers night. Well, that morphed into now we meet 12 months out of the year. But those kind of things go on the schedule so you can plan the resources around it. What about your picnics? All these little special events go on there. Your historical events, some of these lodges do salmon days and things like that. Those need to go on your calendar. We do music in the park every Friday during the summer. Someone's committed, resources are committed, it needs to be on your calendar so you can plan for that. Fundraisers. Kind of neat things here. You can add month details to your Trust Award. If you have a website, you can keep an up-to-date copy of your calendar on there. Will a calendar be written in stone?
Other than specific items like state meetings and this, that, and the other, but other than that.
So you can put a general idea out there, but you want to have an updated portion where people can see it readily. And if you have things like Facebook or a website, Facebook's cool because it automatically updates everybody's smartphone when you change the calendar. It's kind of neat if they're signed up that way. The last point is the most important part. The key is to write it down and review it. If you don't write down your calendar, do you really have a calendar? You forget. Everybody forgets. Dates change. You don't make the changes. Write it down. Review often. Ideas for stated meetings. Number one, it's a business meeting. Certain things can only happen during your stated meetings. Right? You can have other people part of your meetings. So one of the suggestions here is make sure that they do their little part first. Because nobody likes to sit outside of Masonic Lodge while they call up down 37 times, do business, and then invite somebody in. Where does the Grand Master fall into that? Do you plan a special program on the Grand Master's night?
He is.
He is the special night. These kind of things. So when you're looking for your special nights, when you lay out your calendar, you're going to find that after you get done laying all this stuff out, there'll be about 3 or 4 nights where you actually have to plan that activity. All right, so you'd be surprised when you go ahead and write this calendar out, how much of your stated meeting is taken up by tradition or by your official visits. Because you're going to have district deputy come see you once, possibly, and the Grand Master. District deputy's going to be here, but you may have the Grand Master as well, so there's 2 meetings right there. I've planned nothing. What about past Masters night? You plan anything on past Masters night? I know there's some honoring for the past Masters. Special meal. All right. We have a thing in District 2 we call Fill the Lodge Night. It's a special event. We try and get every member possible to show up. It means you have to make a special commitment to go out and phone in all those guys that normally don't show up to get them to come in the lodge. Go out and get visitors to show up. See how many you can pack into that. So these are just different ideas you can do for stated meetings. Stop and go nights.
What's stop and go night?
So stop and go night. Well, we started a new version in our lodge. It was kind of funny. So what has is the district deputy or somebody with the plain text sits on the side there with a whistle or and sometimes a penalty flag, if you're football oriented. And he watches it, and you go along, and everybody does their part when opening and closing, and if they mess up, you stop, and you either pay them a dime or whatever the penalty is, and then you continue on. So it's kind of a fun thing to try and teach you to work on your ritual and work through it. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not so fun.
It's good for floor work too, you know.
So you just stop at that point, the correction's made, and then you continue on until you have to pay your next time.
How do you do the collection?
Usually the district deputy, for us, the district deputy, put it into the youth travel fund.
So how do you do the collection? Is
So
it
you
done
pay
right
pay on a buck, or drop your little dime in the little cup up there. Dang it. Messed up that word. It's kind of fun. Not necessarily good for every lodge. I mean, you're gonna have to pick and choose, because some things are good for your lodge and some things won't. Elections. There's one lodge, there's one meeting that's taken up. Our people have step-up night. Yep, step-up night, there's one you don't have to plan, worshipful master. Woo-hoo, freebie, step-up night. No, that just means they open and close it. You still gotta have something going for that day. Sometimes it's a good time to do your elections on, but that depends on your lodge. Lodge tradition nights. For our lodge, we do a Memorial Day ceremony. You do the empty chair degree, or empty chair program. We also do MIA flag for Veterans Day. So those are two traditions that we do. So those two lodge nights taken up right away for those ones. So like I said, they're lodge tradition nights. Then you have our traditional chili cook-off, and then our car and bike show. Sometimes works, sometimes not. And Dan's favorite night back there, what is it?
Damn night, baby.
Spam cook-off, yeah. So, ladies and family nights. Some lodges bring in their ladies to do a ladies' night. They would do a really short meeting, virtually no business. They close and go back down and spend time with their ladies. They either watch a movie, have a nice dinner laid out. That's their thing. That's what they do. The idea is to throw into, if you want to increase family participation. Scholarships. This may be a non-meeting night, you actually hold it at the school. So it's something, if you have a presentation like you get hand out scholarships, I think it's better to bring up somebody and do it publicly rather than just send a little letter off. Here you go, here's your scholarship. Right? If you know when the graduation night is, and talk to those people, and, hey, I'd like to present that scholarship. Right? But if you don't put that on your calendar, what you going to do? You're going to plan over the top of it, or are you going to be on vacation that day? Or in most cases, you're going to be at Grand Lodge. So someone else may have to do the presentation. Visitations. Do you want to visit a concordant body? Do you want to go up to Canada and visit your sister lodge? If you have a sister lodge. Right? You can put those on there. Youth nights, doing programs. How many people have rainbows and jobies and DMLAs? They all have their Masonic Appreciation Day. They have their, youth night. I know District 2 has a giant youth night where they basically treat all the youth to a nice appreciation night. They bring all the youth groups together in one place and have kind of a nice party for them. But that requires resources, a place, and money, food, things like that. So it needs to be on the calendar so you can plan for it. Police, fire, and awards dinners. Right. Some lodges have a special dinner that they put on to bring the policemen and fire, or I'll call them, what do we call those? Public Servants Awards.
Public safety night.
Public Safety Night. All the people come in and they provide a dinner, and it's really just a forum for them to present awards to their own people. So you're just presenting a nice place for them to have a nice eat and serving them food, and it looks nice, and they're giving their own awards out. But guess who's sponsoring their nice meal? Nice. Pretty cool. Table lodges. All right. And of course, we have the Grandmaster's official visit. So normally you have a district visit, right? You put that on your calendar so you're not on vacation. And all your reports are done on time so you don't have to answer the Grandmaster in that meeting. The district deputy's official visit. Installation. Here's an example of what should happen at a lodge officer meeting. You want it to have the same day every month so people can plan on it. You want to put it on your schedule. Some things you talk about at the meeting, bills, usual business that don't require a lodge vote. I mean, you know, how long is the float going to be? You know, do you need more people for the float committee? Does it really require a ballot to do that kind of stuff? No. So why waste your lodge members' time by discussing something that doesn't, right? Installations, open air degrees, wow. Anybody ever have an open air degree on their calendar unless they're putting it on? How many people here have been to an open air degree? How many people would like to go to an open air degree? If you knew what it was, would you go? If possible, right? Fellowship night, family nights, movie nights, these are all ideas you can throw out there to get more people to participate. Golf tournaments, wine walks, art walks. So there's a wine walk that happens in your town the first Friday of every month during the summer. Did you have your lodge doors open that night? Maybe not serving wine, but maybe have somebody out in front. Scotch. It's an option.
We get attendance during the fall, and we have a big ballroom, and we open that up as space for the artists to demo their stuff. And then we have a table that's hosted by the Joe's Daughters that has cookies and stuff on it, and then there's also a table that has paraphernalia, what have you, and brochures, what have you.
The whole idea is that, you know, you want to be more than those guys that live in that up in that building over there, right? You want people to know where you're at, who you are. Regional workshops, deacons and warden seminars, and, you know, this thing. Put it on your calendar. Why? Because you want to go up to your senior deacons. They're coming in. Hey, you really need to go to this. You might learn something. Hopefully you are learning something, right? All right. Lots more examples. Example of a calendar for the month of December. We all know that the months of December, January, February, and March are going to be heavy. Because as your counterparts for everybody in your district, you want to be going to their installations too, right? You want to be supportive of them, because you support them, they're going to support you. You visit their lodges, they'll come and visit you. They're going to help you plan, because you can get ideas from them, communicate with them. You want to have their events on there. Here's another example, which is just a date timeline. It's kind of hard to read up here, but you do have it on here. That's why I have these things, my reading glasses. The big thing about a calendar is nothing is written in stone. It is a fluid document. And change is good. The change doesn't mean what you did last year was bad. Right?
Change is not good if you're president.
Change means that either there's a different way to do it, or maybe it's possibly just a slightly different or better way to do it. Change can also be a way to improve something that was done before. You know, I'm in the military, so I always learn to always improve your foxhole. I dug a hole, now I got to put a roof on it because I hate getting wet. Now I want to build something on my floor to keep me from getting muddy every time I jump into it. Right? I want to make cubby holes to store all my stuff in. Right? There's something you can always do to improve on a product that's already out there. You can always make your lodge better. So just because it was done that way and it's been done that way forever doesn't mean that you can't make it better. Right? Doesn't mean make it more complicated, it means make it better. Refer to your calendar often. You should be doing it every LOA. At the end of your meeting, you should look at it and go, wow, that didn't go good. Or that's awesome. Maybe I'll circle this one and remind the senior warden that this went great and this is a good process. You know, just last night, all the guys wearing these shirts went up to one room and we sat down and said, okay, how did registration go? What could have we done better? Right? That's what I mean by refer to it often. Is number one, what went well, what didn't go well, is so the next person, when he's reinventing the wheel, right? Because you're going to give him your calendar, right? He can make it better. Keep it up to date. All right, if you just print out your calendar, do it tonight, and then never change it, never update it, 4 months down the road, things change, life changes, stuff happens. Keep it updated so everybody understands what's going on. I don't know how many people have a trestle board that has a portion of their calendar on the trestle board. If you have an electronic one, it makes it really easy. If you have a mailed one, it makes it a little bit harder. Adding a month's worth of calendar onto it, that's another page, that costs more postage. Really a pain, but having it on your website, having it on Facebook keeps people informed of what's going on. And you can adjust your monthly meeting agendas based on the calendar. Right? Some things you want to, maybe you want to do, you have a lot going on. You look at your agenda, you look at your calendar, and oh man, there's a lot going on. There's no way we're going to get this done in 2 hours. How long should your meeting last?
Depends on the law.
How long should your meeting last? How long can you sit in a chair? Some things you can adjust in your agendas. Maybe we'll just do all introductions from the sidelines because we have so much going on, right? Except for, well, we do have to bring the Grandmaster to these. That would be, using a little bit of common sense. There's some things you can do, but sometimes, hey, we got a lot going on, or it's ladies' night. We want to get down to the ladies, so we're going to do all introduction from the sideline. We're going to open lodge and close it and go right back down there. So you can adjust your agenda based on what your calendar says. The key one here is write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down.